Today's letter comes from Daniel, a recently divorced lorry driver from Leeds with a large pension. In 2024, I arrived in Manila carrying only two things: a pension large enough to restart my life, and a divorce settlement that had convinced me that I no longer wanted complications. I told friends I was done with systems that require negotiation, and what I worked for I had to give to someone who didn't earn it. What I meant was my ex-wife and Western women who take half of what a man earns in his lifetime. As it turned out, what the Philippines gave me was most generously. I met Maria in a small cafe near the Rizal Park where I went each morning out of habit more than hunger. I walked along the parkway, near the highway, and then went to the cafe where she worked. Maria worked behind the counter with a kind of steady focus that made everything around her feel temporarily organized. Bread trays aligned, coffee measured precisely, conversations handled without excess. I like that. What began as a short and quick order began longer conversations. I began staying longer at the cafe, ordering several items. At first, we spoke about ordinary things: weather, tourists, the rhythm of the Philippines in different seasons. Then about our pasts. Maria had been working at the cafe for years, struggling to keep it alive through rising rents and inconsistent foot traffic. "I don't want to lose the cafe," she said one afternoon, wiping flour from her hands while making cakes. "I spent 30 years optimizing supply chains and understood decline when I saw it. The prices she was charging and her foot traffic could not sustain a viable business. You should expand," I suggested. She laughed. "With what? My looks? I have no money." That question lingered longer than expected. The ideas formed slowly in my head: renovations, a larger seating area, a better kitchen, a space that could serve dinner, not just breakfast. I didn't think of it as investment. I thought of it as continuity, something meaningful to occupy time that had suddenly become abundant to me. With her permission, I paid for construction without formal structure. Maria handled permits when she could leave the cafe. The lease was under her name, so I just assumed my contributions implied shared ownership. I didn't ask for documentation. It felt too clinical for what was becoming personal. I just felt she would be kind enough to share. For a while, it worked. One day I told her a business trick that works. I told her to give free coffee away from 11 to 1. I thought she was going to have a cow. Her face turned pale white. Giving something away free did not make sense to her. She quickly said, "No." I then told her I would buy the coffee for every customer if she said yes and deposited money at the beginning of each day. Reluctantly, she agreed after hearing part two. The only way a customer will get free coffee is to buy a membership. In other words, they paid $5 for a membership and got 1 cup of coffee free, 5 days a week between 11 and 1. She rolled her eyes and shook her head. The sign went up in the morning, and I gave her $100 for the coffee. People lined up for the coffee, and in the first month, she sold 200 memberships. $1,000. She sold only $500 worth of coffee. She now was delighted to hear about the membership. Not only did she make money on the memberships, people began to buy her pastries and sandwiches when they came in. Her profit margin soared. The cafe became popular. Expats came. Locals stayed longer. I became a familiar presence, though never officially defined within the business. I helped her set up in the mornings, fixed small things around the shop, suggested operational improvements. One day I created a wheel of fortune. People who had memberships could spin and win a free pastry or prize with purchase. People lined up 50 deep to spin the wheel. Her profits soared through the roof. She made more money that month than any previous year. "You think like someone who still works," Sophia said once to me. "I don't," I replied. That's the problem. She didn't understand that sentence at the time. Or maybe she understood it too well. Then disagreements began to happen. Small at first, then structural. I wanted reinvestment. She wanted stability. I saw opportunity. She saw risk and did not want to take it. She wanted the profit and did not want to expand. The cafe, once shared in intention, now began to feel divided. Then came the distance. Then the silence. Then the legal clarity I never expected to face. The cafe was registered solely under Maria's name. Under local business law, I had never examined or inquired about. My contributions, significant, repeated, documented only in informal transfers, had no legal weight as equity. I tried to negotiate, then to formalize, then to recover. Each attempt collided with the same reality. Intention does not create ownership. I was told it was her business and I needed to stop interfering with it. I made her over $50,000 in 6 months, more than 50 times her average income before she met me. What did I get for it? Nothing. Just to please leave my business alone. Weeks later, I left Manila. I was going to Palawan to soak in the sun. Lesson learned. Not in anger, not in collapse. In recognition that what I thought I was building had always required structure I never insisted on. In a hotel in Palawan, I replayed the same realization. I didn't lose half a business. I never secured my half in the first place. The cafe still operates near the park. She has franchised the business and now makes a lot of money. People still sit outside in the sun eating outside her venue. I learned, slowly, that some losses don't feel like taking. They feel like delayed understanding. If you do business, always put it in writing. Make sure both parties understand and know what the other intends. It can cost you a lot of money, and that is not what you want to do. Lose money,